Michael Bisping is choosing Khamzat Chimaev to continue his incredible run inside the octagon against the second-ranked welterweight division, Gilbert Burns. Yes, he's clearly hopped on that hype train. The former UFC middleweight champion seems to be really impressed by Chimaev and his recent incredible victory against Li Jingliang. Let's dive straight into today's video where we tell you all about it, plus more news in the UFC world. First up, sold the hype. Mark your calendars, the most awaited bout of the year is finally here. The unbeaten Chimaev fights one-time title challenger Gilbert Burns at UFC 273 this Saturday in a welterweight contest that most fans have highlighted on their calendar for a while. The bout takes place during a rare six-fight pay-per-view main card at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena in Jacksonville, Florida. While some feel the Chechen-born Swedish MMA fighter will establish once and for all that he is a legitimate danger, others predict that the Brazilian fighter will deflate Chimaev's pride. But Besping doesn't think the same. The analyst recently dissected the duel on his podcast Believe Me You and thinks the stars are aligning for Chimaev to raise his hand yet again. This is a tough one, Besping said, but I'm going to go with Khamzat. The retired MMA fighter thinks what Khamzat did to Jingliang was incredibly impressive and blew his mind. Jingliang, despite being one of the best and most experienced names in the combat world, looked quite helpless when the two faced each other in the ring last year. Besping added, "There's a reason he's so confident about himself. He's not stupid. This isn't him acting arrogantly." Wow, someone's a massive fan. The analyst admires the fact that Khamzat appears to be so sure of himself, which has also been dubbed arrogance time and again. And honestly, with a track record so epic, we're willing to put up with the arrogance too. The star boxer previously knocked out Gerald Meerschaert with a single punch, sending shockwaves across the MMA world. So it's going to be exciting to witness Khamzat's wrestling versus Gilbert Burns' jiu-jitsu. That would definitely make a super fun bout to watch. Next, Khamzat Chimaev is a huge betting favorite for UFC 273. It wouldn't be wrong to say that the number 2 ranked fighter would be the clear favorite against an 11th ranked fighter. It only makes sense. But defying the odds is what makes the Russian-born Swede fighter Khamzat Chimaev so special, and that's exactly what he's been doing since his UFC debut. In the summer of 2020, Chimaev burst to the UFC scene with a never-seen-before vengeance, finishing 3 opponents in under 2 months with utter dominance. Unfortunately, though, his career was then derailed by a difficult bout of COVID-19, and he spent 13 months on the sidelines as a result. He then resumed his historic run once he was thankfully healthy, and fans were absolutely delighted. Not only that, after each of his 4 UFC fights, the man received a $50,000 bonus for best performance of the night. No other fighter has ever done it in 4 UFC fights, ever. Even his opponent, Burns, who's a 20-4 MMA and 13-4 UFC, regards Chimaev as a major risk, as there's yet to be a blueprint to defeat the formidable 27-year-old. Even then, though, there was never any chance of passing up the bout for Burns. It's a massive opportunity. Normally, when a top prospect enters the UFC spotlight, people tend to question the hype, but that hasn't been the case with Chimaev. His power is unlike anything we've ever seen, and MMA analysts and odds makers alike have jumped on board the hype train. Chimaev is a huge favorite for his 5th octagon encounter after 4 stunning finishes. Burns has not only made things appear simple, but he's only taken 1 critical strike in the 4 wins. In his most recent fight at UFC 267 in October, the number 10 ranked fighter in MMA's Fighting Global Rankings totally destroyed Li Jingliang via submission in little over 3 minutes. Now, he's formidable, but he isn't Khamzat. If Khamzat is all that, Burns too is a lethal second-ranked welterweight opponent who is not to be taken lightly. Gilbert Burns is a 5-1 since stepping up to welterweight, with his lone loss coming in his championship opportunity against Kamaru Usman at UFC 259 in February 2021. Dorino injured Usman early and appeared to be seconds away from becoming champion, but Usman was able to calm himself and halt Burns with punches in the 3rd round. Burns, the welterweight in MMA, was able to bounce back with a unanimous decision win against Stephen Thompson at UFC 264 this past July. While Bisping believes Burns' jiu-jitsu and experience will be important, the former middleweight champion sees Chimaev rising to the challenge and earning a chance at the 170-pound world championship. He needs to make sure his jiu-jitsu defense is on point, because if not, Burns will catch him. According to Bisping, Burns is, with zero doubts, a world-class player in all aspects of MMA, but it's the ground that's the dangerous one. Khamzat might just pick him, throw him on the ground and say, "You, I don't care, this is how I fight." Despite Burns' strength, skill, and experience, Bisping believes that his final pick pick would be Khamzat Chimaev, claiming that he was sure that Khamzat was taking this one home and whoever won between Usman and Edwards would be next. Up next, Burns' insane workout. While everyone bets on Khamzat, Gilbert Burns is also well aware that his next UFC opponent might be the most physically demanding he's faced in recent years and has been putting in an insane amount of work to prove everyone wrong. The former title challenger and UFC welterweight contender just gave the MMA junkies a sneak peek into his superhuman training for the key fight against Khamzat Chimaev, where he's been doing a mix of a lot of things that appear to be very different and harsher than we've previously seen. Burns intends to put an end to Chimaev's perfect record and all the hype around the 27-year-old by defeating him. Dorino aims to improve on his unanimous decision victory against Stephen Thompson in July 2021 in an attempt to earn another shot at the title, and we agree that sure is going to take a lot of work. Next, he should remain a mystery. In other news, Daniel Cormier, like literally everyone else, has few doubts about Khamzat Chimaev's route to championship contention, but a former two-division champion believes the Chechen fighter is losing his charm by allowing fans to watch him in the gym. DC, who claims to be a massive fan of Khamzat and his swag, believes Chimaev's increasing friendship with Darren Till has been concerning, not because Till might be a bad influence on Chimaev in his career, but apparently because of the duo's frequent and oversharing on social media, stuff tarnishing the fighter's mystique that makes fans so drawn to him. Is that even a thing, though? We thought fans absolutely loved it when their favorite stars shared more about their lives and routines with them. What else is social media for, anyway? Next up, Conor's looking sharp. Speaking of social media posts, as the former UFC dual division champion prepares to make his long-awaited comeback to the octagon, Conor McGregor has shared some more interesting footage for his fans and foes from his training sessions at Crumlin Boxing Club. The lightweight double champion, who looks to have put 155 pounds behind him, is currently healing from his broken leg TKO loss to Dustin Poirier at UFC 264, but is likely to return to the cage by summer 2022. McGregor has lost 3 of his previous 4 fights, but he expects to waltz back into a title shot when he returns to the UFC, aiming for a welterweight title against Kamaru Usman. Yeah, Usman, the one who stands at number 1 currently. This is going to be interesting. The former champion is fed up with being dismissed by the press and is desperate to reclaim some of the past glory he may have lost as a result of back-to-back stoppage defeats to Dustin Poirier. Lastly, Khamzat follows Conor's footsteps. While Conor may be struggling with self-esteem issues following a series of losses, the star has been an inspiration for many young talents, including the emerging UFC sensation Khamzat Chimaev. Boers recently revealed how McGregor's historic one-punch knockout of Jose Aldo was what inspired him to start fighting in a recent interview with ESPN. Khamzat claimed that watching Conor fight and the kind of dough he made in the process was far too tempting to let go, and, well, we're glad he didn't. The wrestling star, who had begun fighting following in Conor's footsteps, has now set his goals even higher than Conor McGregor, who was the first UFC fighter to win titles in 2 weight classes. By becoming a 3-division UFC champion, the 27-year-old Chechen aspires to make history. Chimaev has made no secret of his intention to win the welterweight title before going up a weight class to compete for the 185-pound belt. The fact that Boers now aspires to be a 3-weight champion is quite interesting. It all kicks off at UFC 273 when Khamzat Chimaev takes on Gilbert Burns, a former welterweight title challenger. If he beats Dorino in the highly anticipated bout on April 9th, the undefeated boxer would be in line for a shot at the welterweight title. While the bout with the Brazilian world champion grappler will be one of the most challenging fights of Chimaev's career, Boers is still a huge fan favorite to win. We can't wait for this one. Who are you rooting for in the epic Khamzat vs. Burns fight? We'll see you in the next one.